Well, I suppose it's been a while since I coped on this deck for, I don't know, been like 5 years now or something like that since I first played Branded. So it is the next day, and we've officially gotten the revisions for the Genesis format. And it was surprisingly good for Branded. I wouldn't call it a direct upgrade after I've spent all day basically testing Branded on DB and whatnot. But I do think that it has reworked Branded in such a way where you can play cards that otherwise you were not able to play. Before this morning, we were not able to play Lubellion just for sheer point value, but now that Lubellion is 10 points and Mirror Jade is 10 points, it is playable to do 1 and 1, but unfortunately now Albion is also points, so we have to worry about that going forward. Gagwignal also being points is a big deal. But otherwise, I still think this deck is pretty playable. This is pretty much just a prototypical list. This is basically just me recording this for my own sake, because down the road I'm probably going to tweak the list, and by the time you see me again, you'll probably see me playing some version of Branded with what's called, my brain's dying, with whatever the new stuff ends up mattering. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit in things like Mercurier or that stuff going forward, but we can get to those when we get to those. We'll start the main deck. 3 Eluber, 3 Tragedy, 1 Dramaturge, 1 Adlib. Most lists I was seeing before today was not playing Dramaturge, and they were either not playing 3 Tragedy or they were not playing Ad libitum. I went heavy on the Branded cards. My old strategy with Branded was to always play Branded with the least amount of chances for your opponent to ash you as possible. The ability for this deck to play through the Ash Blossom on the Branded Fusion may or may not be relevant depending on meta trends. Ash Blossom is still 45 points for a whole set, so if you play against a deck that just does not have the point space to play 3 Ash, it is viable that you may be able to get away with playing a build that's more heavy on resolving the Branded Fusion. But right now, until the meta is more defined, I want to play cards like Tragedy that allow me to play through having my Branded Fusion ashed. And then 3 Albaz, 3 Kit. Again, I just want to open as many starters as possible. This deck can play through Branded or hand traps extremely well. You can even play through Droll to some extent because of the ability for this deck to play its quick play spells, which lets you get you value in the draw phase. Kit is by far your worst starter. I mean, it is a straight like break even, but instead of being a +1 like a Luber is. But this is a way to also extend, so having this available to you as a 3-of is probably mandatory. 2 Cartesia. Unfortunately, this thing is points. You have to play, these are 3 points each. And I also played 1 Quem. The total points comes down to 99, 9 of which being here, and then the only other points being the extra deck and the Branded Fusion itself. I go back and forth on whether or not I like Quem, the main deck, or not. I am currently leaning toward liking it because I don't have a ton of light monsters in my deck, and with the 1 Albion, it's maybe viable to cut down on this, but then you're only at 4 points, which you can't fit the Mercurier regardless. So I decided to play the 1 Quem and then 2 Cartesia. 3 Albion, the Shrouded Dragon. I mean, this thing is just upstart, but it's also a like half-decent extension card. So you might as well just play it. You're already fiending for just stuff to fill the deck, so... 3 King of the Swamp, 1 Poly. The effect, this is probably the most cuttable card here. I wanted more ways to polymerization that were not just resolve Branded Fusion or lose. This allows you to get back to make Albaz if you don't draw it. You can also use this pitch Poly, and then it also makes Magnum the Reliever, the guy in the extra deck, playable. 3 Deployments. 3 Opening, I don't need to explain these. 3 High Spirit. This is a card in most of my other Branded lists before I've never actually played before. And I don't know what the hell past me was thinking. This card is crazy. You just dump an extra deck card, pitch a card for graveyard setup, and then you search anything. This thing just gets you Branded Fusion if you need to by way of kit. It's your worst way to get Branded Fusion because you can do this in a kit, and then you have to pitch a card, and then you put another card from the bottom to the bottom of the deck with kit. But this does get you to it, as also being able to continually add itself back to the hand for additional follow-up later. Which this deck, its biggest problem is that it needs more follow-up, with the real inability to run multiple of the Extra deck stuff you want to run, you have to run the free ones just because of point issues. So this being able to add itself back allows for more follow-up. 2 red, and then of course the 1 Branded Fusion. I've tried playing this deck without Branded Fusion to save space on points. It's just, there's just no way to do it that makes it viable. Mirror Jade is too much of a powerhouse. This is the choke point of the deck, I know, but it's also the inevitability of this deck. This is the best card to resolve. If you resolve it 9 times out of 10, you just win, so you just gotta play it, unfortunately. 1 theater, 1 white. This is also super cuttable. I don't particularly like this card just because there's not really a lot of ways to get it back once it hits grave. But it is a 1-of for now. This could probably be dropped for something else. Again, we don't have a lot of options in terms of spacing. And then traps, 1 retribution for the Albion. You're playing 3 of it, so you might as well play the 1 retribution and then the 1 banishment. Again, you want follow-up. You want to be able to play on your opponent's turn. This is one of the best ways to do it. You can get the Eluber, you can then hard fuse with your opponent's stuff, and then you can get the additional follow-up off of the Eluber search. 40 points, like I said, 100 points total, or 99 points total. 40 from the Branded Fusion and then 9 from the Cartesias and the Quem. 5 tokens, no one cares. And then extra deck, this is where the rest of the points are. 1 Mirror Jade, which is 10 points. 1 Albion, which unfortunately is now 20 points. And then 1 Lubellion, which is now 10 points as well. I was playing none of this last night before the points list dropped. And then I was playing 3 of this. In hindsight, that was probably correct for the time, but not having Lubellion in your combo stinks, dude. Not being able to dump Tragedy and then get a decent value off of it is super, super important. I'm really glad that this dropped and then also this dropped, so then the 2 of these are now playable in here. It's unfortunate, though, we only have the 1 Albion, so you have to be careful with when you use this. 9 times out of 10, when you use this, you need to be able to put it back off of the Lubellion. The best way I found to get this back into rotation is to play multiple of the other extra deck cards. By the way, 1 Gangrene, this is the other 10 points. Right here, I believe, is 50 points, and then the main deck is 49. So, no, unfortunately, we will not have the 1 point remaining. 1 Garura. Ultimate Slayer is probably going to be in the side going forward, so this is going to be a standard. Also, this is dumpable off Gangrene, also just a decent way to get some resources back, because a lot of your cards require you to pitch from hand, so being able to Cartesia into this and then dump this to get a free +1 just to get some discard fodder is usually pretty nice. Magnum the Reliever, it recycles the Branded Fusion and also recycles your polymerization, so your kings are never dead. And then this is most likely the actual boss monster of the deck going forward, now that Mirror Jade is pretty much a 1-of that we will use once. Lubellion, being able to put this back and also loop back like your Albion and Mirror Jade at the same time, so that way you can make the Mirror Jade again, has genuinely come up a lot. Having 2 of this is super important, so that way you can make the first one off the Cartesia, and then the second one you can make off of the Lubellion. And then 2 Alolenitus, you want to get the fusion deployment. I mean, this isn't hard to explain. You're playing mostly dragons for your high spirits targets, so dumping this so you get fusion deployment for follow-up plays is pretty good. 2 Rinbrum, again, we're fiending for just targets off Mirror Jade. I considered playing Lulu Lilith, but I just do not own one. And then 1 Mysterion, 1 Secretarion. I don't know if these are going to come up yet. This is entirely dependent on meta. These were something I had lying around and I kind of wanted to test, and I've not had any problems with them yet. It's just that they're kind of just spacer or pack filler for now. We don't have a lot of stuff to play, especially since Super Poly has also been increased in points. So, and the last card is just the the Despian Quertus. I don't own one on me. I spent like all day looking for a Quertus. I could not find one to save my life. So yeah, that was pretty much it. This is just what you summon off of the Gangrene, and it's also the thing you reveal off High Rise for the branded cards. Okay, so initial thoughts on branded. The deck is extremely consistent. I have a lot of ways to get to Branded Fusion, and with the deck not having a lot of chances to get Ashed, because Ash is a relative rarity in this format with most other hand traps, the only problem now becomes, do we play into Nibiru? Nibiru now being 5 points is extremely terrifying, because it is up there now with Droll, with just being a low investment hand trap that pretty much anyone can play. Which, to be fair, in terms of like game design, Nibiru should be low points because it stops degenerate shit like this from being playable. But whether or not that becomes more viable in the meta is going to determine whether or not we play more going second in terms of just like board breaking, or if we decide to play more cards that are specifically meant to grind. Getting Quem, or just keeping Cartesia on the field usually is what matters the most, because then you can Cartesia with your stuff that you get back in end phase, and then you can continue play on your opponent's turn, especially with Brandon in red with ad libitum. You can be able to revive the Mirror Jade if it gets nibbed, and then your opponent's not going to be able to keep the nib, so there's pretty much just a -1 for them in terms of like their raw hand advantage. So that's something to keep in mind going forward. I suppose that's it for Brandon. General thoughts about the ban list. Vanquisol was not hit nearly as much as I thought it was. I thought that Vanquisol would see a lot more points, but the deck basically now just have to run 1 Holly Sue and then 3 Rosin, and then what was the other one? I believe 3 Rosin, 3 of the Jiaolong is still totally fine. Mad Love is still playable. We still have Stake Your Soul is still free. So my initial idea of basically just swapping out hand traps for board breaker, or not board breakers, but kaijus, was pretty much dead on the spot. I will be playing the deck with 3 Radiant and then 3 of the Dogoran, and then basically using it as a way, as like an engine that allows me to break boards. Of course, without extravagance anymore, it is now going to be needing a little bit more help in the starter department. A bit more consistency is probably going to need to be done. What else? General thoughts. I feel bad for Gibby. He was playing Mitsu Teller Knight all day yesterday, and then now Habakiri's 100 points. Feels bad, man. I don't know. Maybe there's a way to make Mitsurugi playable with like Senjus and Manjus and whatnot, but I doubt it. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't see any particularly poor choices. Oh, actually, I was disappointed that D-Shifter was not increased in points. That thing is genuinely toxic, and I think that needs to just go. I don't understand why things like Herald of the Arclight is 50 points, but D-Shifter can be just played at 30 points for a set. That's ridiculous. Otherwise, yeah. I'm still super into Genesis. I'm going to be probably playing it for the foreseeable future. I love talking card theory. If you got any card theory questions, comments, if you want to discuss tech choices that you've been testing, hit me up. I love talking about it in the comments. I'm still talking about videos from like 3 years ago, so please always leave a comment. I love talking about it. So like, comment, all that bullshit. Who cares? Later, bye.